This is a story about a dude named Lane. He moved to the mainland and bought one place to stay. And then one day he went, tried to rent them out. And then he became one real investor man. This is Lane with the Simple Passive Cash Flow Podcast. And today I got Noel on the line. Joey's another turnkey investor who kind of started when I did a few years back. How you doing, Joey?
Good. Thanks, Lane. Thanks for having me.
So you work night. You're a medical professional.
Yeah, so I'm a nurse, registered nurse in the ICU at a hospital here in San Jose. Typically work 3 to 11 in the evening. Nice thing lately is my kids just started school, so kind of got a lot of time during the day to kind of do real estate stuff and research and deals, so it works out good for me.
Nice to meet another person living an alternate life.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside their job. I wanted to bring you on because you're doing a good thing out there. You got another website.
Mm-hmm.
We can drop the URL at the end. Do it now, people will forget.
Yeah.
But you just kind of like me, and you just kind of like to help people get started. Where did that all come from?
The name of the website is Rookie Real Estate Investors. It's, when I started to do this, I was doing a lot of networking, meeting a lot of people, and everyone just kept asking me the same questions. So I decided to start my own kind of blog site, and I just put everything that I knew and experienced and, my thoughts. I just threw it all onto a website, and then when people contact me for to share my experiences with them, I just send them to my website, and then, they can kind of see how I do things and read about my experiences, and then there's a couple recommendations on there, and then there's even other people like yourself who's on there as mentors that they can contact, and just a general way to help people get started in real estate.
Yeah, when I got started doing this, I quickly realized how much it worked, and my parents were pretty educated and they had good jobs, yet they were always stuck in the stock market, and they're still working, and they're never going to be able to get that BMW. But my thought was that if someone just buys a couple of single family homes out of state, you don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, exactly.
First question is, how much simple passive cash flow are you making today, and how are you doing it?
That's the question that everybody asks, and it's not a simple answer because everything varies so much. And I've bought homes in so many different ways, from buying them complete turnkey, just a simple, straightforward loan, and then collecting rent right away. And then I've bought others where I've bought them off MLS. I put rehab into it. I paid cash for the rehab. And then I did the BRRRR strategy where I bought it and then refinanced at a higher value. So it's really difficult to pinpoint exactly how much I make, but when you average it out from over a longer term period, I can make anywhere from, nothing, depending if I had a big ticket item or big repair, to close to $3,000 a month. And that's over a 10 property portfolio. All these homes kind of range from 40,000 to all the way up to almost 70,000. Different rent prices, different cap rates. Some I got a really good deal on, some was just a fair deal. The bottom line for me is over the year, if I kind of divide it out, I pretty much make between $150 to $200 a month off each property. And then when I calculate that into actual pro formas and using conservative numbers, I get just under that 10% cap rate, which is kind of what our goal is most of the time.
Right, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, the cash flow number. You're making a lot more than that with the mortgage pay down, depreciation, and the petty appreciation that we do get.
So, yeah, that's, like I said, some of these homes, I have one property that has been a real good performer for me. I haven't done any maintenance on it, and I was all in on this property for $40,000. The tenant is great. He's been paying on time. He's been in there well over a year. So, I cash flow $350 a month off that property every month for the past year and a half. There hasn't been any expenses. There's other properties where, just one big ticket item pops up and there goes all the cash flow for 6 months to pay it off. But, I just think of the bigger picture is, looking at the portfolio as a whole. And when I average it out with the 10 properties, I make 150 to 200 a month, and that's what I'm happy with.
So what's your Han Solo moment? As you know, Han Solo and his buddy Chewbacca from Star Wars were cruising the galaxy as low-life smugglers. Their paths crossed with Luke and Leia, and they kind of took this pivot point. When did you kind of make a pivot point in your life to kind of get you where you've been?
I've kind of always been motivated to grow wealth and, try to better myself in any way possible. That's kind of one of the reasons I went to college, then university, became a nurse. So right out of nursing school, I just knew that, the right thing to do is to get into real estate as a primary residence opposed to renting. And, especially now that I was making good money, I knew I could afford it. So I bought this property, and this is up in Canada, Calgary, Alberta. That's where I'm from. So I bought like a little 3-bedroom townhouse. I rented out 2 of the rooms. And then it was at that time I started to kind of realize that, for one, I'm making rental income from these roommates. And then 2, over the course of a year, the price of that home and the value, it had doubled. So I paid like $170 for it. And it was worth well over $300,000 within a year because there was a big oil field boom there, which was creating jobs. Everyone was going to Calgary for these jobs. And then the inventory and housing dropped and prices went up. It's kind of like the typical scenario that you see in real estate. So I sold that house and cashed in, and then it was like that moment I realized, for one, you can make a lot of money in a short period of time. And then I also got a little taste of that cash flow just from those tenants that I had. And that was, way back in 2005. So I tried to kind of repeat it, and I wasn't as well educated back then as I am now.
Too much beer and hockey back then.
Yeah, exactly. So I tried to repeat that. We bought 2 or 3 more. But then when 2007 hit, 2006, and the market crashed, we ended up taking a loss on all these properties. We just had a small portfolio back then.
When 2008 happened, were you able to keep the units occupied? You just had the lower rents, or what happened there?
So we bought at like the peak time, and then like within a year, all the values had dropped. We ended up just short selling 2 of the properties, and then 1 we actually kept that I still own today. It was covering the mortgage, and we just didn't know really what to do. That's what we decided to do. We still weren't as educated as we were now. We just kind of threw in the towel and started over. We rented a house for another 4 years after that, and then 2012, we were able to qualify for loans again. Ended up buying our primary residence that I'm in now. And then we got lucky again because we got in right before another big boom here in San Jose. I got a lot of appreciation on this primary residence. Just decided, you know what, we got to do something with all this added value in this home. And that's when we decided to start cash flow investing out of state by using a home equity line as down payments on mortgages. We've definitely had some ups and downs in real estate over the past 10 years or so. Learned a lot from them. We studied a lot more, and, we're doing a lot better now.
So was that the worst life and business moment?
I mean, I don't know, because it wasn't really anything I could control, like nobody really predicted this crash in this market, except for the big short guys, of course, who all cashed in on it. I mean, I've definitely had some other bad moments. Because it was out of my control, I wouldn't really consider that being one. But we definitely bounced back from it.
Right, just buy properties that cash flow and have that buffer in there. Is that the takeaway?
Yeah, we just felt it's less risky instead of playing the buy low, sell high game. And then living in California, you're kind of limited to what you can buy. I would end up putting all my money into one rental, even if I could pull that off. Whereas, cash flow investing is a lot cheaper and easier to kind of get started with little to no money down. And, we're real big believers in the rich dad, poor dad philosophy of using other people's money. So with that home equity line, all ready to go, and then, the cheaper price home values in out-of-state investing, it just kind of made sense to us.
That HELOC, I mean, I personally sold my properties in Seattle. The downside of that HELOC is it kind of throws your debt to income ratios off a little bit. Why did you ultimately do the HELOC as opposed to just selling? What was the thought process
Well,
there?
I needed a property to live in, right? So I'm not gonna, and then we also, so I need the property to live in, so I'm not gonna sell it for
You
that
had the kids
reason.
at that time?
Yep.
That makes sense.
For one, we save there. We're not paying rent. And then two, I want to keep this house because I truly believe that long term, it's going to continue to go up, especially in this strong Silicon Valley market. And then San Jose being such a great economy. And long term, I think this primary residence will continue to pay off just by holding it. And this way, by getting a HELOC, we get the best of both worlds. So, we get this home in California that's going to pay us through appreciation over the long term. And then we can also dabble in cash flow investing out of state. Ultimately, we get to do it all without any of our own money.
Right. And that's why on those cash flow out of state properties, you didn't finance a lot of them. You paid cash.
So in the beginning, I financed turnkey properties just to kind of learn the process and get educated, make those connections. So we used 20% financing. So with a $50,000 home, we were putting $10,000 down from our HELOC and then getting a mortgage for the rest of $40,000. So essentially it's 0% financing because the 10 is from the HELOC and 40 is the mortgage. And then when we add up all our numbers, the renters pay the mortgage and then there's still, money left over. Ultimately, we're cash flow investing.
That's living the dream. A mark of a high performance is to put your ego aside and accept the help of others. What is your current 2-week experiment and 6-month project? And maybe people can help you out that's listening.
The 2-week experience is that's too short for me. We kind of think more longer term. I don't really have anything that I'm really concentrating on just for 2 weeks. But expanding a little further than that, we're changing our whole focus now. We were originally trying to diversify all across, the nation. We thought it would limit our risk if we had properties in different markets with different providers. And we wanted to diversify in class of property as well. So we wanted to do C class, B class. But now through our experiences, we've worked with 4 different providers. And we're only happy with one provider of those 4. And that's FS Houses in Indianapolis. So for the time being, we're just focusing on buying C-class properties in the inner city of Indianapolis, and we're using FS Houses to help us because they've proven that we can trust them. I've done over 6 deals with them. The process has been smooth every time, and the cash flow works. The tenants are awesome. And one of the biggest issues that I run into is property management after the sale. And it may not be immediate, but then 6 months to a year after, communication starts to suck and I just start losing my confidence, where this company in Indianapolis has since day one and to this day still pull through for us. So that's kind of what we're working on now, is just focusing more and less diversification. And then, if I get or find opportunities moving forward with other markets and other providers that I really think would work, I may be open to it. But for right now, after the experiences we've had over the past year, we're just kind of going to stick to the people that we know and the market that we know works for us, and the class and the price range, and just try to grow.
All right, so you've hit your Fannie Mae cap at this point, right?
Well, I'm lucky because my wife's got a pretty decent job, good credit score. So between the two of us, we've been splitting it up, kind of almost taking turns, where she'll go buy 2 or 3 in her name. And then when those close and are done with, we switch it over and go put a few in my name. So I think like she's got 4 or 5 in her name, and I think I have 7 in my name. So we're getting close, that 10 limit on the mortgages, and it's definitely getting a little more difficult to qualify as because when you get past, they just changed the guidelines according to my lender last month, where it used to be you needed above a 720 credit score for homes 4 to 10, and now that's changed to for homes 7 to 10, just kind of giving us a little more leeway. Or you probably have experienced it as you get more and more mortgages in such a short period of time. Ultimately your credit score is going to start to decrease. So
My credit card days, where I used to get a lot of credit cards, it seemed like every credit card pull would be like 5 to 10 points about.
Exactly. So, I mean, but I had mine with every deal, they're going to pull your report, and we were buying homes like every 2 to 3 months over the past year and a half to 2 years. The fact that changed, we got a little bit of leeway, and it helped. But, conclusion is it gets a little harder, but we always find a way.
Any secret habit that you have?
A lot of the stuff is just the basic stuff that I've found on Bigger Pockets, networking with other investors. Like one of the things they say is always get an inspection and a re-inspection. I've learned this the hard way where, I thought I could trust the people and didn't feel it was necessary to get a re-inspection. They sent me pictures and things like that to assure me that the work was done. But a picture can only tell you so much, and you shouldn't trust anybody out there. Get a second set of eyes in there to re-inspect the place, especially being out-of-state investor, and just make sure that even though they say it's been done and they show you a picture of something being done, it needs to make sure that it was done right and that, it's going to last. It wasn't just like a simple patch job, which I've found with some of these turnkey providers. That's what they'll do. They make it look good, but is it done correctly and will it last? Another little strategy that I've been put into place was I had some properties in Birmingham and I wasn't happy with the property manager. So instead of just getting rid of property manager and moving them all to another one, I actually hired 2 different property managers, and then I split them. So I gave 2 to one and 1 to the other. And then this way, if things happen again where I'm not happy with the property manager, I have a backup that I'm already established a relationship with. So I'm kind of giving that a try. That I think is kind of a good strategy that not a lot of people do, or something that I haven't really heard of from other investors.
Yeah, and it also helps that you and I talk, because I know we're both in Birmingham, and it's pretty much the same 2 or 3 property management companies. So it's great to flock as a group.
And you were actually one of the guys who helped me pick one of those property managers, and everything's been fine. And luckily enough, both managers are doing a great job. So far, I'm happy.
But things change.
They do. So it's funny you say that, because the previous manager, I mean, they had a real good reputation. They came highly recommended. I did my homework. It's not like I just randomly picked these people out of the yellow pages or something like that. I had high expectations, but, they just slowly, things got worse. And then, they're actually trying to change things to make it better. But, I'm not going to wait around for that to happen.
So what is your simple passive cash flow number? And then imagine you had 2 times that. Describe your ideal day, detailed routine, what projects you're working on at that point.
I'm guessing you're saying that if I am starting to make the money that I expect.
I guess what's your goal? What's your number that you're working towards?
So I would love to make $10,000 a month cash flow. That's kind of my goal. And then, I'm anticipating I would need well over 30 properties to get that as a minimum amount. So if I could get that, I would be happy. I would never retire from my job. I love being a nurse. I'd probably cut back. I would, work part-time, maybe 2 or 3 days a week. And then the other thing that I would never do is stop investing. I mean, I got a passion for it. I love it. I'm making the right connections, yourself included. with, other investors, and it's just fun for me. So, I could see myself a typical day with a good cash flow coming in. I'd probably sleep in, do something fun. Some of my hobbies is like golf, do the occasional shift at the hospital, and then study real estate. I study it every day. I'm always on Zillow, seeing what the prices are, what's coming in, what's houses are selling for, how long they're staying on the market, what's happening with rents, what areas are hot and not, things like that. And then, of course, reading the forums on Bigger Pockets. I kind of picture myself being like a Jay Hendricks who's always on Bigger Pockets and helping newbies and things like that.
So something that you've bought recently or thought about buying, throwing your cash at for a time savings or an improvement in your quality of life.
That's so funny that this question comes up because I just splurged and bought the most ridiculous vehicle that makes no sense, but it's something that I always wanted, and so I just went and did it. I actually just picked it up last week. I bought a brand new 2016 Jeep Wrangler, and, living in California with the soft top down has always been like a dream of mine. But then I didn't just stop there. I took it to the shop. We totally pimped it out with a 6-inch lift, 37-inch tires, it's totally a monster and looks ridiculous. So it's not economical. I get talked about how the gas mileage is crappy, but the bottom line is it's something I always wanted. I don't gotta commute. I live 5 minutes from my work, and my wife works from home, so we have an SUV that I can always use. That's kind of something that I splurged to kind of reward myself for, all the hard work I've done at the hospital and then all this time invested in real estate. But I've been holding back all these years, since I graduated university, from buying toys and wasting my money, and this is the one time in my entire life that I actually splurged and bought something.
Well, good for you.
Nice, yeah.
There was a kid at my old workplace who bought that the second week that he started working, and I thought he was an idiot. But you deserve it.
I mean, you gotta, there's kind of gotta be a happy medium, in my opinion. Smart guys wouldn't buy something like this, but you gotta reward yourself sooner or later, somehow,
So you have a couple kids there that probably don't care what you think, but one day they'll dig up this podcast in 20 or 30 years. And Tony Robbins talks about two concepts that we're continually struggling to gain perfection in. The first is the art of fulfillment, and the second is the science of achievement. So if you died tomorrow, in your final words of wisdom, what is your secret of science of achievement and the art of fulfillment?
One thing that I always say is, you never take no for an answer. That's something that's always got me, ahead. Just an example, if a mortgage broker tells you no, don't take that and just say, it can't be done, I can't invest in real estate. You find a way. You find a mortgage broker that will, if they can't help you, they can tell you what you need to do to make it work, and then you can work towards that. Don't take no for an answer. Instead of saying I can't do it, say, I'm gonna try to do it, or find a way to do it, and then work on how you're gonna change things to make it happen.
How about the art of fulfillment, or is it just Jeep Wranglers?
For that question, everybody's different. For me, I got a lot of things that just, the whole real estate thing, the nursing thing, my wife, my family, all those things just kind of happened with me. So, I don't know how to really explain it or how to tie it into the art of fulfillment, but yeah, that's just kind of what fulfills me, I guess.
Anything other than the website that contribute back to others?
The whole Bigger Pocket scene, I'm always available on there, and I get a lot of newbie questions. So between the Bigger Pockets, people contacting me, or, rookie real estate investors, those two things, that's pretty much how I give back, and I enjoy it. I don't have any hidden agenda. A lot of these people will get referral fees if they, send someone to their provider and they actually buy a house. I don't get anything like that. It's nice to just have an unbiased opinion for others. It's something that I looked for forever when I started, and I could not find it because everyone I talked to was either trying to sell me something or, had some kind of hidden agenda where they would have been rewarded in one way or another. So that was the whole idea. I'm sure that's your idea as well.
Yeah, it drove me crazy. Like, these guys would just contact you off the Bigger Pockets form and then get your email address and then CC you to the provider, and then they would pick up with a couple grand or something like that. It just seemed like, at least be some value, which they weren't. But
Yeah, and it's funny.
crazy.
It's funny that newbie investors, including myself at the time, I didn't even realize that these, relationships existed. You think that, oh, he's just a nice investor trying to help me. And in fact, he's just trying to make a sale, whether he's an investor or an actual marketer or something like that. I mean, some are genuinely trying to help you, but if they're making money out of the deal, you gotta question some of the stuff that they're telling you.
So Joey, anything we missed?
So the name of the website is Rookie Real Estate Investors, but the website is rookie.rei.com. So yeah, you can get a hold of me through there. My email is joey@rookie.rei.com. I'm always open to talk on a phone call. I might not get back to you right away these days because I've been a little busy at work, but eventually I do, and email is probably the best way. And if you get real serious about it, and I would encourage you to, talk to more people like yourself and myself and make connections and network. One thing that I like to tell people is that you're going to hear all kinds of opinions out there. Important to just, listen to all these people, write everything down. But eventually you're going to have to make your own opinion and your own decisions. Don't do something just because someone else is doing it. You should be your own person. Develop your own strategy and your own kind of preferences, because we all invest differently. We all have different financial situations. We all have different risk tolerance. So you got to kind of develop your own plan. There's no one way to do things in real estate.
Well said, Joey. Appreciate you jumping on here. It's late for me, probably early for you. But
9:15, yeah.
I really appreciate you getting on here.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you, Lane.
Thanks, Joey.
All right, take care.
This website offers very general information concerning real estate for investment purposes. Every investor's situation is unique. Always seek the services of licensed third-party appraisers and inspectors to verify the value and condition of any property you intend to purchase. Use the services of professional title and escrow companies and licensed tax, investment, and or legal advisor before relying on any information contained herein. Information is not guaranteed, as in every investment there is risk. The content found here is just my opinion, and things change, and I reserve the right to change my mind. Above all else, do your own analysis and think for yourself, because in the end, you are the only person who is going to look out for your best interests.